Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News. I'm your host, Ellie, and we got William show today with me and William, and I'm going to kind of hang off on the side. And, w- you know, we got to discuss this alien thing. How many people and how many podcasts, uh, how many are going about the alien contact? So we'll go into that, but I'm gonna turn the show over to William, and William will go ahead and do what he needs to do, giving you the news of today and things that he feels is uh, a very concerning, not only for our country but around the world. William, hello.
Hi. Well, from here at Miki the Dog's Lair here in central Washington, I might add, it's kind of, behind enemy lines, maybe a little bit outside the wire. Anyway, it's what, the 14th of August here in the year of our Lord 2023. And here where I'm at with Miss Miki, it's really hot. It's very hot outside. And so she's found her dark spot here in the apartment and forced me to turn up the air conditioning. And she might even be over there in a gravy coma. Anyway, she's getting ready for the program because she hates me on the telephone. So, Ellie, do you have something you want to say first? You want me to go right on into my news?
Well, I did want to say, um, things came out with an indictment today for Trump, and they uh, didn't even look at, um, they just ended it, from what I hear. But this was from Alex Jones. Now, Mary called me on this, and I looked into it, and I said, you know, um, when I looked into it, Alex Jones does have things firsthand, and what we're seeing is a typical Clinton trick, and they did this here. And my worries is because of what they did here, and it worked. They took it to Washington, and what they have done is cut off the grand jury. Now, that's what Alex Jones said. Now, when I looked into it, I'm not real sure. So until I get more information on it, I want to kind of just wait. Um, I'm now I know they're going to put cameras in the courtroom. That was something that was decided upon. Now, the grand jury meets on Monday, Tuesdays, and I think Thursdays. For some reason, they're only letting them in a few times. So, what came out today could be uh, uh, the DA in Alabama isn't quite uh, uh, kind of, William, she is, I think it's a she, uh, is tired of waiting and went ahead and pushed things through. Uh,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
what's
thank
going
you.
on is,
Thank you. Lori Posner is a new viewer. Always wait 24 hours. Bingo. That's what we try to do here because, we don't quite believe all the new news. New news. What I'm saying is anything comes out. I like to wait, see what comes out, see what is put out there on either side for or against. And I want to thank Lori for that. Lori's a new viewer. We thank you for joining us and maybe share us. All right, William. The other thing was, I'm trying to think of, um, do you remember what it
the
was?
alien.
Oh, the
It was the
aliens.
alien.
But I'm going to let William get into that and do a lot of his news, uh, because me and William go back and forth on this alien thing. What is going on? We even have Timothy Alberino, Steve Quayle, and I'm looking at them and I'm kind of starting to question what we are looking at. So, William, I'm gonna turn this over to you. Go ahead and do the news. When we get to the alien things, we'll jump in there.
Okay, well, I'll just start So in Peru, we have villagers that are afraid their women are being abducted, and they're setting up patrols by their men at night because they're afraid of an alien presence in the area. And this is being reported by Timothy Alberino. And one of the things, well, a couple of the things that Ellie and I have talked about is that they can use things like holograms and deep fakes against us now. So we can't necessarily trust what we're seeing. And people can be manipulated easily. And then there's always the endless question of, are these alien biologicals friend or foe? Are they demonic? Or are they just intelligences traveling through our sphere of living? And whether or not they're entering by portals, meaning if you have to travel a long distance in the universe, it would take you far more than a lifetime to reach a distant planet. So the only way that you could reach a distant planet within your lifetime is to full time and space, and in effect create a portal that you can enter and exit. So you'd enter it where you come from and then exit here in on Earth someplace, and then do what you do here, right? So Ellie thinks that the majority of what we're seeing is not like in our solar system or anything like that, but actually coming through portals. Is that right, Ellie?
Right, because the Indians have got petroglyphs. That's what I went on. The petroglyphs showing the spiral, and the spirals are showing them coming out, but never going back in. Um, now, Laurie even is saying they are using Project Bluebeam. Now, what I think they're doing is these are aliens. They're coming through the portals, and they can now get this, folks, and I want to get biblical on this because they can. The fallen angels can be anything they want to be. They just can't be human. And they were. It was written that they have the heavens and the earth, and the heavens is space. The heaven is where God's realm. So we have them in the heavens and space and earth and below is what was written. And so what I'm thinking is they not only the Indians are showing they're coming out as demons, but they can't go back in. And what are they coming out as? Just about everything. They can be everything but human. And now Project Blue Book, I think they started looking at Project Blue Book because they didn't understand what was going on. Now we look at Skinwalker Ranch show, and not that I'm supporting them. What I'm saying is that they are showing the same circular petroglyphs that something's coming out, and that now they're starting to pick up different things on Skinwalker Ranch. Now, I want to go beyond that because it's just as a Skinwalker Ranch. We had places in Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Utah, Iowa. All of these places are having, with the Indians, these spirals that show things coming out, and it's creatures. So, are we looking at portals? Now, Skinwalker Ranch is now backed me up on it, saying there's portals.
Well, remember seeing the Helsinki portal open up with its spiral, and they said it was, a missile launch, which is, no missile in the world takes that trajectory. And we saw one over Hawaii too, right?
Yeah.
And so we've seen these portals open up and collapse. It's just a question of beings are coming into our world or exiting our world, or, just seeing the interdimensional portal itself, with nothing else happening. So there's lots of evidence for it. We have, history way back in ancient Babylon, where it's Iraq now, but ancient Babylon, where they tried to build a tower to get to heaven. Well, they're trying to build a tower to get to a portal, and then God sprinkled the people all over the world and changed their languages, right?
Yeah.
So this has happened in the past, and we shouldn't be surprised if it happens in the future, but we should also be very skeptical that it's not being used as a false flag by some organization or government using holograms and AI deep fakes and things like that. I mean, I hear these little commercials on the internet that has Trump's voice in it, and I know it's not Trump's voice, it's just a voice file created by somebody, and they're just using Trump's voice.
Yeah.
So if they're doing fakes like that, they can generate all kinds of different fakes that way. So
what's real and what's Memorex?
Yeah, there's going to be in the future all kinds of different things I think they're preparing us for, because they're trying to tell us that there's no gender, basically. Well, we understand that a lot of these extraterrestrials are clones, right? They don't give birth, and they weren't birthed, they were cloned. So they don't have any sex organs, right? And if you want something that's a hybrid of that, a human alien hybrid, or maybe just a cloned human being that because of cloning doesn't have normal patterns of human sexual organs, well, they would want us to get used to that idea, right? So they would throw that up and start providing a way for us to get used to that before some leader falls out that way. So, yeah, governments do what they do, and they're usually push schemes, and we should just be aware of that.
Yeah, and not only that, but we're looking at what are they putting up in the skies with holograms now, and that's my concern. Is I've been watching it, and they can put anything up in the air that they want with let's see, it was 4G, 5G, or more. At this point, I think they're up to 8, and to where they can put anything in our sky that they want us to believe. And is it going to be Christ? Is it going to be the Antichrist? Or is it just going to be a certain things they find with NASA or other countries, that what they have found? Is it going to be, like I said, is it true, or is it Memorex? Because because you can Photoshop anything. I mean, I can Photoshop myself to look way better, and that's what even a lot of these models are doing. They Photoshop themselves to look really good, and then when you see them, they're 30 years older, and they look like hell. Anything could be.
Ellie, quit talking about me like that, because I've got that, good-looking, handsome guy up there on showing on the show, and I might be a little older and don't have a fedora.
Now, Laurie Posner made a really good statement here. They made the Pope appear in a hologram. Yes. And you get this. Why does he have all them skulls in death? And yeah, he's a Jesuit priest, but why? Even the Lucifer telescope in Arizona. There's so much that has been going on, and I really believe that the Pope and the Catholic Church is sold out. And isn't that what it says? I don't want to start talking
We've
biblical.
always seen through history factions in churches or governments that have sold out to different sides. So
Yeah,
we shouldn't be surprised if we see some factional change within the Catholic Church. It doesn't mean that there aren't good Catholics doing the right thing the way they've been taught to do out here in the world. That there could be some faction trying to take over and take charge.
well, you know, the Catholic Church has done wrong. I mean, the nuns to the priests and
Well, all churches have done wrong at some
right,
time,
but you know, when I had uh, Father Gabe, I was raised Catholic, and when he told me you're not going to learn anything here, is this is a ceremony that we do every Sunday. If you're going to find Christ, you got to go to another church. Now, when I did, I'm thankful for it now because I learned so much. But this was a Catholic priest telling me, go, 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 because you're not going to learn anything here. But
well, I remember when I was a boy, my friends went to catechism to learn about, about Christ and the Mother Mary and all the history of the Catholic Church. And I don't know if they had catechism available for you then.
yeah, well, my whole thing though, William, is if we had, and we didn't have the problems at our church that I'm seeing around the globe, that priests have done some horrible things. We have uh, uh, nuns have done horrible things. We've had priests that's done horrible things to the nuns, and we've had nuns doing horrible things to kids.
Yeah,
But
I think we've had the evil, but I think we've had far more good
but how many churches have we heard that have done horrible things to kids? And it's coming out more and more. But this, you know, when it deals with aliens and what we're looking at the evils of the Antichrist. You only have biblical terms that will point this out to you. And if you are an atheist or a non believer and you're looking at these alien things, you're going to fall hook, line, and sinker.
It's going to be quite a shock to your system, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, and they're going to believe that this is going on. Are they going to fall for a false hologram in the air, or we just never know because we have NASA, we have not only that, but we got Hollywood, we've got the holograms, we got our own government wanting to deceive us, and when they let this stuff go a year ago, William, when you could go and you could look at the blue book and you could read everything about it, why didn't they come out with it then?
Yeah, I'm not going to, until we have physical proof, it's something to think about, but it's nothing you can put your hands on, right? It's nothing you can wrap your head around because there's just no real proof for the general public. You can have all the programs and information that you collect worldwide forever, but until one of these things are wheeled out for Congress for all to see and touch and feel, then what is it? It's just a story.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. Um, um, now Lori keeps mentioning about AI, and so when we move into AI, we are looking at not only NASA and the holograms, but we got to look at what they are representative as robots. Now, when we look at robots being brought in as AI, I think it's to help us. I think if we separated it from robots and AI, and and then we separate it from what's going on with them trying to deceive us. It's two different issues, and I think they're trying to meld it together to confuse us.
Well, any technology that comes out into this public sphere was created primarily for military. Okay, that's what we need to talk about very first. Everything's created for the military first and then empties out into the public.
Right.
So we're seeing that. We're also seeing the government trying to hide some things that have been created, even some robotics, right? So we're getting both of those, and then they tried to get us to believe that these robotics will be beneficial to us. Well, we'll see, right?
Yeah.
But everything's created in the beginning for war, and then bleeds out into the public. So, ready for me to go on my stuff now?
Oh, well, one last thing, William, is we have to realize that uh, the Democrat Party is pushing everything very quickly uh, and not giving us a chance to absorb or decide what's true and what's Memorex. And that's why I say true and Memorex, because they are pushing everything so fast. Is it because they want to cover up what they're doing, or is it to push everything so fast that we don't have the time to go look at what's real and what's Memorex? Go ahead, and you can go ahead.
They're trying to bury information and other information to put things into the memory basket that disappears because we're being overwhelmed with other information.
Yeah, that's true. So, all right, go ahead.
So the EU and the World Economic Forum is interested in a scheme to block out the sun to change the global weather patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the EU is developing a framework for looking into these ideas, and they really don't have any idea how these things would affect us long term. Now, whose idea was the blocking of the sun? Well, it's being promoted by none other than our dynamic duo, Bill and the World Gates, and good old, shall we say, Jorge, I've got your back, Sierra, October, Romeo, October, Sierra. We can't say his name. Man who cannot be named, right? So I consider them the dynamic duo of destruction. Anyhow, so what would blocking out the sun do? Now, what they want to do is involve pumping white clouds into the upper atmosphere to block out the sun.
William, you know what they did when they blocked it out? It caused a greenhouse effect. This is with geoengineering, and I agree with Laurie here. And what it did is it warmed everything up. So, are they trying to?
Volcanoes in the past,
right?
That happened. We had a 2-year winter because of it. So it depends on the amount of things they put up into the atmosphere, the amount of reflective gases or fluids they put up in the high atmosphere as to what effect it would have. So you could have more heat, you could have less heat. I think you could end up with a nuclear type winter or a rebound effect like frying North Africa, getting the
William, is this now? I keep running this by quite a few of my friends. Is this a type of weather war or a HARP war, where we've seen fires and then flooding over in China? We've seen certain things happen in the United States, and then we see Russia doing something to, or not really Russia or China, but we're seeing where Taiwan is getting hit with a hurricane. There's more hurricanes that has hit Asia than I've ever seen. So I'm
Yeah, these
thinking this
typhoons
is
have
a
been
heart
terrible.
war. Are they doing weather wars instead of nuclears right now?
Well, we know that all major militaries, right? All the countries that have major militaries are involved in weather modification. All right. We've seen actual corporations now that sell their abilities to the highest bidder. Even here in the United States, there's contracts out that we've seen. So we know it's happening. To what degree it's affecting us, I don't think we're going to know. But if you're going to talk about this climate change, how is this these weather wars, this uh, trying to affect the weather? How's that affecting the Earth being able to cool itself or heat itself? I mean, we could end up with,
Right
like
now,
you say,
take a
more
look at
typhoons.
Mexico seeding clouds right now. And what it's causing is rain across the south. And they're saying El Nino, well, maybe not. And it wasn't until I started looking into cloud seeding that I seen Mexico doing it. But not only that, but we, I don't think it's extraterrestrials, Lori, as much as I think this is something that is HARP. And if you don't know about HARP, hun, go check out Angels. Angels don't play that HARP.
Play that harp.
Right. It's a baggage. And baggage will tell you, and if you look at his research, you'll see it's not really ETs as much as we have HARP. Uh, China's got HARP. Europe's got HARP. Russia's got HARP. Everybody's got HARP. And so is this, when they don't want to do nuclear weapons, are they doing HARP against each other? And this can do earthquakes, volcanoes, flooding. It can do, it can steer a hurricane. Go look at it, hon.
Yeah, and
He said Lori
these,
says she knows about HARP. So now, what do you think about it, Lori? When you think of it in that concern, we are in a war between us and NATO with Russia, Iran, because Iran's got one, and China, and North Korea's got one. Are we playing weather wars instead of shooting nuclear weapons? That was always been my question, but no one's really answering it. But more and more, we're even seeing the Weather Channel and a lot of the weather stuff coming out saying this could be cloud seeding. This could be HARP.
sure, and they're going to use those types of capacities before they get into a kinetic war. Meaning, whenever you're involved in a war, you'll do backhanded things long before you get to sticks and stones, right? So you'll do weather wars, maybe you'll do economic warfare, maybe you'll do cyber warfare, maybe you'll do information warfare. Anyway, that's what governments do. They try to move their political football forward any way they can. So, speaking of which, I think we should have a song of the day. And the song I found it's kind of a terrible name, Bastard Blues by Brother Dedge, Degge, Dedge. And it's kind of a fun little video. Anyway, I gave it to Ellie if she wants to put it on the side. If not, just look it up.
Well, right now,
by Brother Dedge.
YouTube has blocked me from allowing me to use Investigator News too. I'm trying to fix it. I'm not sure if this whole thing is a hack or if it's YouTube, if it's Google. I'm just really having a hard time being able to function for the show. And, but who cares? I'm just going to keep doing it, and we're going to move along, and we're going to give you the truth.
Okay, now moving on. We've got reports that possibly, by redacted, that the bars may be closing in on Mr. Can I say Fauci?
Yeah, I think so. You just can't
Mr.
mention
Fauci.
the disease. You can mention pandemic.
Yeah, so I don't think they're going to get to Mr. Fauci before he physically times out on this earth. I mean, they're going to. I think the statute of limitations will time out, or everybody's going to forget about him due to some other worldwide catastrophe. Anyway, even though the law may be catching up with him, whether the law actually catches up with him, I think that's going to be up to debate for quite a while. Anyway, moving on to my number 3 report is, so is this disaster on Maui a big land grab by, say, the WEF? Because remember, we have the whole city of Lahaina.
William, I gotta say, I've had so many people message me, and I see so many um, um, uh, where it compares to Paradise Fires. I seen a car today, a van that was burnt to a crisp, and right next to it, a car that wasn't touched, and a tree that wasn't even scorched.
Well, fires.
Something's up. Something's up.
My grandfather was a fire chief, okay, and he said that fires were not just fires; they were living things. They grew, they consumed things, they were alive until you extinguished them, right? And they would jump from place to place. You'd end up with it creates its own micro weather patterns. So, but you know what it looks like to me, what Lahaina looks like to me, is the same pictures I saw from World War II when they firebombed Tokyo, right?
Yeah.
And all the stuff was burned up, but it didn't catch everything. It would jump here and there and take out this factory, but not that factory, this neighborhood, but not that neighborhood. It kind of looks like that to me. But what I'm worried
William,
about
the one thing that struck me was they were, meaning Russia and China, both held drills close to Hawaii. Then they all went up to Alaska. And then all of a sudden we had Hawaii with some hurricane that with winds caused the fires. Now, like I've told everyone in the past, if it would have been the volcano island, I would have accepted that. But since it was north, and when you look at the winds, they can't go back on the winds. And go ahead.
Okay. When I was a kid, I picked pineapple on Lanai, and it's just across the, what do they call it, the Lahaina. Anyway, there's kind of like a gulf between Lanai and Maui, and that usually doesn't have much wind in it because the wind tends to hit Lanai first and block the wind off from Maui in that channel, right? And what I'm concerned about is there were so many people that were diving into the ocean, and you have water being pushed up against Lanai, then you'll create different kinds of currents in that channel. And when I was a kid, I was out off Lanai, and we had a weather system come through. Anyway, I was skin diving out on some reefs, and I got caught in a riptide. And, you know, when you're only up to your chin in water and the waves start kicking up, you can't see your island. If I hadn't been in a riptide and recognized I was moving across the reef quickly without, you know, any motion of my own, and to swim against it, I wouldn't have been able to swim back to my island. I could have been carried right off out into the open ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever flown over Hawaii, there's a little bit of light blue around the islands. That's the shallow part, and then it just drops off into black water. It is deep, really deep. And those people who had to dive into the ocean, imagine having to swim the length of your city.
Yeah. Now, you know, William Dutchens has even shown some of the fires that, the fiercest fires in California, even Colorado, that he was catching a type of beam that was hitting real close to this.
Yeah. So we know that HAARP can generate electric pulses in the atmosphere. That's not a surprise. They use high energy and they use triangulation, and they'll get different atmospheric reactions. Now, whether they use that against each other or we use that against China, they use it against us, you know, Russia. Anyway, all the superpowers use it against each other. Who knows? I mean, we're not going to be able to prove anything until we have some investigation that really nails it down. But I don't think any of that information is ever going to come out.
No, they won't. They won't. Just like, you know, Dutch Sense. And Lori, I don't know if you've watched Dutch Sense, where he has shown the beams that are touching, and all of a sudden there's fires there out in the middle of nowhere. And no one can really explain this except for, you know, even on one of the shows that me and Randy did together a long time ago, we were pointing this out. And then we, you know, more and more, he is showing these beams. And it may take him a few days, but he's showing beams that's hit. Now, I haven't seen anything yet, but, you know, it just seems to me that it's too coincidental for Russia to be there, China to be there. I mean, Russia was there for a very long time in international waters, so. And then we seen them doing drills, and now they back away, and now we got fires. Now,
we got fires there, and we've had floods up in and landslides in Alaska.
Yeah.
So.
And you know, even these volcanoes, how we've gotten over 90% of our volcanoes that are active right now, and we've never seen that in history. And they're saying, but who's talking about it? Nobody. I can't find out one news media that's talking about why 90%. And I thought it was because they were drilling into them. And come to find out, maybe not. Maybe this is something that's being caused to do a new type of war. But you know, we may not hear about this for 50 years. By then, we're going to be gone. Me and you and a few others are going to be gone, and they're going to release that this was all a war between HAARP to HAARP in these countries.
Yeah, and then we have other forces. Like, we've got this whole new WEF thing that wants to, they want to make 15-minute cities. Well, how better to do that is to wipe out a city like Lahaina and then rebuild it as a 15-minute city.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to do down in Tucson.
Right.
I think that's terrible. And, you know, we have people even in the GOP that have started this climate working group, which I think is an oxymoron. But anyway, I wish we'd get away from this whole climate thing because, you know, I'm a geology major. And I know that the only thing that really drives global temperature is the solar wind. It's the sun. It just depends on how active the sun is, the solar flares we get, because our planet absorbs all that energy, pipes it into the center of our planet, and starts heating it up. And if it's a very active sun, it's only like 3 years later that we start seeing volcanic action, because Earth has to cool itself. It's in a
well, you know, they showed the hottest temperatures right before the global cooling with the ice age. It was the hottest temperatures then, and then within I don't know how many years. I wish you know I didn't think about pulling it today, but then we were looking at an ice age. Are we going to go into another ice age?
See the sun become inactive, have fewer solar flares, and become cooler, because we have solar weather. The Earth is just going to follow the weather of the sun. It's the biggest power generator, you know, in the galaxy, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, our known galaxy here in our solar system. And all this business of man can actually change climate, seriously? We're just pinpricks on the planet. We can modify things in very small areas, but you know, half the Earth is covered by water.
But you know, when they want to do chemtrails, William, when they did chemtrails, and they wanted to deny it and said it was a conspiracy theory, and then the Biden administration did come out and say they did it, but it didn't work. Well, because they put a greenhouse effect, and not only that, but when you spray toxins on trees and land, it's going to burn harder. The biggest thing I seen.
They were an aluminum oxide, and if you've ever seen aluminum all cut up into shreds, you touch a match to it, it's almost explosive. It burns hot and it burns fast, because the material the bauxite that's used to make aluminum, how they do that is they increase the energy in the atomic structure by pumping electricity into this bauxite, right?
Yeah. And you know, I didn't start seeing gray trees, okay, until they started these chemtrails. And they were saying, oh, that was a conspiracy theory. Now they want to say, okay, we did. And this is what we did. When I went to Colorado Springs and then I went back to California, the trees were gray. And I was like, why are they gray? And it's because when you chemically spray a tree, it will die, and it will go to an ash looking um, uh,
well, the aluminum will collect on the leaves, and then they're using what was it, boron? Boron acts as an adhesive, so that can't even wash off in the rain.
yeah,
So
yeah, it won't. It just makes it worse. If you put, but William, if you put rain on a chemical, what do you get? A worse chemical, right?
And the only way to reduce a chemical is by combustion.
That's
so
it.
You break chemicals down by fire, and yeah, it's this whole climate thing's a joke as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, I have been saying that for a long time, and and you know, everybody says, well, you're just a conspiracy theorist. I said no. I was into ecology and wanting to save the earth, save the whales, save the trees for since junior high. And the more I looked into it, the more I started looking at, wait a minute, why are you doing this? Why do you want to kill the whales? Why do you want to throw garbage in the oceans? Why do you want to spray chemicals on the earth that is going to burn our trees, cause them to be very flammable?
We don't have to here in the United States. We're not like India that uses its rivers for sewers. We use our rivers for drinking water. And
That's right.
So you can take care of your environment. I learned that in environmental ecology as a Boy Scout. You should always take care of your land,
Right.
your water, your ecosystems around you, and protect. It's good for us for farming for food. It's good for us for having clean air, clean water. That's the kind of stuff we should be involved in. This climate thing is just wasting our energy.
Yeah. Heck, I ought to have Lori on my show. The stuff I'm getting is the same thing. Yeah, I do a thing on ecology and where we've become, what we have become, because it's not, they want to save the world, but they're not willing to go clean up the garbage. That's the one thing that got me. They want to create um, uh, offices all over the United States for one world economics and ecology. But when you say the biggest one is the garbage in the oceans, they're like, oh, we don't, we're not going to pay attention to that. When we mention them spraying, we're not going to talk about that.
In our sewer treatment, they should be involved in our power generation, clean power generation. They should be involved in things like that. The United States is really the cleanest economic or industrial powerhouse in the world.
Yes. We got the cleanest gas, the cleanest coal, the cleanest energy, and then we have World Economics Forum saying you're not good enough. And then we're going, what about China? What about India?
Yeah.
What about Hawaii? Hawaii, a lot of people don't really know, they dump all their garbage in the ocean because they have nowhere to put it.
Right. If you look at China, Beijing, China, and you draw a 2,000-mile circle around that, 2/3 of humanity lives there. But we're not talking about climate there. Well, they're the biggest producers of pollution.
Yeah.
We should, it's silly.
Anyway, I'll let you move on. I don't want to get you stuck on this because, boy, we've already almost used up the hour. So go ahead, William. I'm going to shut up.
So, surprise, surprise, surprise. Well, not really a surprise. It looks like the Western media, with the exception of good old England, is waking up to the fact that the Ukrainian offensive in the Ukrainian-Russian war has been, well, all but a complete and total failure. They had a couple little successes that ended up, they took a kilometer here or a kilometer there, but it has been, for the most part, a terrible failure. They've lost tens of thousands of people needlessly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And basically were sent to their deaths with this offensive that was pushed by NATO, I guess, or European Union, or whoever's helping Ukraine, right? And Ukrainians want back their territory. So I think that we shouldn't have sent, we should have sent the weapons, but so they can defend themselves and not be offensive, but we probably should have sent a trainload of body bags along with it, to be honest. I think this Victoria Nuland and this guy in the White House, Mr. Sullivan, Jake Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
That's
really Sullivan is a Hillary Clinton lawyer that she wanted him to bring in to control the narrative on the world.
Well, he's the de facto brains of NATO right now. It's not the adult guy that's in the White House, okay? It's the people behind him. And Jake and Victoria really want this war. They want to weaken Russia. Well, Russia's become an industrial powerhouse, and the United States has reduced its industrial footprint. So all we're doing is weakening the United States. And that might be good for the World Economic Forum and, Klaus Schwab, but it's no good for the United States. Anyway, speaking of democracies, right, NATO democracies, our fine friends over in Germany have banned opposition parties from criticizing or speaking out against its government's positions on issues that the country cares about. And Klaus, he spends all of his time there in Germany and Switzerland and anywhere there's power, right? And where are we seeing democracy in Germany if they're shutting down freedom of speech, just like they've shut down the ability to vote for your different candidates in Ukraine? The United States, even during the Civil War, managed to keep its elections going,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's no excuse. There's really no excuse. So now that I've spoke out against, the Republic of Deutschland, I hope I don't end up on a list, right?
Well, we have got so many in Congress and Senate that are, we don't know if they are true Republicans or if they are Republicans playing a Democrat role just so they can pass the Democrat agenda. Because Asa Hutchinson did that here.
Groups. We have nationalists, right? People that care about our nation first and everybody else second. And there's globalists that don't care if the United States dissolves here on the world stage. So that's, it's what they do. And at least the Democrats are honest about it and throw themselves out in front. But these Republicans that hide in the shadows, that's nasty business.
Well, anyway, they have to, because we'd vote them out. And what better way than to hide themselves like Asa? And I hope nobody votes for him, because Asa was a AG for the Clintons, and he only did what the Clintons wanted him to be able to pass things to crumble our state to poverty. And, of course, the Clintons said they were going to take this to Washington. And more, even Mary, I was telling her today, isn't this what, because of what she heard on Alex Jones, I said, but this is the same thing that they did in Arkansas, that they vowed to take to Washington. Now, if it took 40 years to do it, Hillary can wait. She'll do it in 40 years. She'll do it in 50. She'll bring in corruption all the way to her death, because this is what.
She hasn't cloned herself.
Well, I think she has lookalikes. That's what she tried to do here, and I guess they didn't have what she calls good-looking Arkansans that look like her. But when she got into Washington, you can tell they were lookalikes that she had. I'm not sure if it's a clone or an AI robot, but
probably just found somebody who looks a lot alike and used makeup to, make them look more like them, which the actors do it all the time.
Yeah. So everything I see that it's been implemented in Washington. Now get this: during Mueller, she had 11 of her lawyers go in, and they took top spots with the FBI. Now, I don't know. Nobody else is going to tell you this. But when you look at the top 11 spots, so you look at the top with the FBI.
Justice Department, right.
Weiss. Now, his brother was the one that went after Enron and took him down. And then Weissman, okay, because they try to confuse the two, Weissman bought Enron. and it was with the help of the FBI and the Department of Justice. See, this is how,
Yeah.
and this was during Obama administration, and we're seeing this more and more. So when you look at Weiss being in charge of the Trump investigation or indictments right now, realize that he was crooked during the Mueller investigation, and it goes all the way back and to the beginning of Obama, where they took down Enron because they couldn't have Enron gas being able to move forward for the natural gas, because they knew that with Obama, they were going to bring it down and get rid of natural gas and uh, oil to do away with and do the one world order.
They become political enemies of the people.
Yes.
And they don't care.
Well, no, it don't matter. They don't care about their voters. They don't care what they do to their own Democrat voters. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the prices the way they are. They wouldn't be doing what they're doing. And the problem is the Democrat voters don't realize that they're being screwed the same as us, because it's going to hit them too. They're not going to be above. They're not going to go get gas for $1.50. They're going to pay the $3 a gallon like the rest of us are.
All life on Earth is carbon-based life forms, and they want to sequester all the carbon. That means they want to pump us into a deep well. All of us, all the living things on the planet. They want to destroy everybody. It's sick. It's a sick thing. Anyway, let me move on.
Okay.
You already know that.
Yeah, because we're already at the hour. So finish up, buddy.
So I'll just give us. I've got. How many? I got like 7 or 8 more.
I'd choose 1 or 2 more, and we could always move it over to tomorrow and Wednesday.
So we have the United States Navy has just turned over at Annapolis, Maryland, Admiral Michael Gilday of the U.S. Navy Academy at the U.S. Academy today handed over operational control of the U.S. Navy to the former Vice Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Lisa Franchetti. So she's now in operational control of all the Navy, and currently her nomination to succeed Admiral Gilday is on hold with the Senate, so she's just temporarily in control of the Navy. And then when the Senate decides to allow the promotions military-wide to go forward, because that's being held right now, then she'll go before the Senate to receive or not receive the nomination. But yeah, Admiral Lisa Franchetti is now in charge of naval operations. Okay, and I'll give you one more little tidbit. The Central Kansas Police Department is facing a torrent of criticism for raiding a local newspaper's office and home of its owner and publisher last week, seizing computers and cell phones. The action so severely distressing the publisher's 98-year-old mother that it caused her death over the weekend. According to the newspaper editor and publisher Eric Meyer in Marion County, Kansas, they took 4 computers plus their server, their main backup for all their publishing, took the laptop of their mother and searched her home and went through all their financial things and went through the vice mayor's and the publisher's home as well on a warrant to seize all that stuff. Now, I think they could have just called the newspaper and asked for all the stuff to be turned over, and that would have been enough. But no, they did this big search seen anything like that, right? And so this is a big First Amendment issue. And it's also Gestapo-like tactics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, right after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, guess who brought over the chief of Eastern Germany's secret police? Well, it was the Clintons. And now we start to see these Gestapo-like tactics. It's not a real big surprise. And the police department hasn't said when it intends to return the newspaper's property, because all they have to do is create a duplicate of their files, right, on their hard drives, and then just hand them back to their equipment. But they haven't done that yet. They haven't told when they're going to return the equipment. So this is causing problems at the publisher, and I think this is a terrible thing to see. You know, that not only have they gone in and searched your mother's home, but they also effectively, you know, moved her to a mortuary this weekend. I hope they've got a hell of a damn good reason, really, for that search warrant. Because if they don't, it's going to look bad nationally. And this is coming up right now, and you know, I hate to see this sort of thing. So that's what I've got for right now. We've got a whole bunch of other things that have gone on in the world that we'd like to share with you. But you know, we got done what we got done today, and we'll keep these different things on China's economy and floods going on, what's going on in the Taiwan elections, and a number of these other stories for later. And we thank you all for sharing. Thanks for your comments, especially Karen. She's been commenting quite a bit.
Lori has too, a new viewer.
And so is Lori, and I agree. You know, actions speak louder than words. And you know, I don't think Pence should have ever criticized his president. You don't see Biden criticizing Obama. That's bad form. Anyway, yeah, thanks for if you want to leave something in comments so that we can answer the question later on. Thanks for getting involved with this, and we hope the information's been good and to a degree even fun. I agree, Karen, it is not Nazi tactics to go in and do it the way they did it. So, thank you. Thank you, Ellie, for the opportunity to come and talk about the different news things that I find, and I appreciate being able to, you know, push back against this communism that's creeping into the country, and for your help in doing that. So thank you, Ellie, and thanks to all involved here in the program. Please come back again next Monday and see Ellie's shows tomorrow, Tuesday. And
also on World War III Wednesday.
Yeah, and have a very good evening, and live in the moment with your families and enjoy the time you have, and just be aware these other things are out on the sideline. Don't let them control your lives. All right. Bye-bye for now, guys.